The Indian Army has neutralized 14 terrorists in the past 96 hours. The Army thwarted the 7th infiltration bid in the Gurez Sector yesterday, taking the toll of terrorists slain in the last 4 days to 14. There is no reason to believe that the Indian Army couldn't have done this before, but maybe the political will was lacking. Yes, in the past 9 months, remember, since the surgical strikes on Pakistan's terror camps, the success rate of eliminating terrorists across the LOC has gone up. The Modi government has resolved to eliminate terror in all forms from the country. And with the political resolve in the iron will it mean endgame for Pakistan?
The numbers speak for themselves. 24 infiltration attempts foiled so far this year and 14 terrorists neutralized in the last 4 days. This speaks volumes about the commitment of the Modi-led government to eliminate terrorism from the Indian soil. And if this success rate were to continue, the day will not be far off when Pakistan will be made to realize that it cannot take India for granted. With VJ Pawan Chowdhury, Jay Seelan for NewsX.
लोग ने जो है अपना काउंटर इन्फिल्ट्रेशन ग्रिड सरहद पार से टेररिस्ट स्प्रेड न कर पाए, उस पर जोर दिया है और हमें इसमें काफी हद तक पिछले दिनों में सफलता प्राप्त हुई।
Well, in fact, let's listen in to what Prime Minister Modi had to say on terror during the SCO meeting recently.
मानव अधिकारों तथा मानव मूल्यों के सबसे बड़े उल्लंघनकारियों में से एक है। अतः आतंकवाद तथा अतिवाद के खिलाफ संघर्ष एससीओ के सहयोग का अहम भाग है। मुद्दा चाहे रेडिकलाइजेशन का हो, टेररिस्ट की रिक्रूटमेंट का, उनकी ट्रेनिंग का अथवा फाइनेंसिंग का, जब तक हम सभी देश मिलकर इस दिशा में कोऑर्डिनेटेड तथा सशक्त एफर्ट्स नहीं करेंगे, तब तक इन समस्याओं का समाधान असंभव है।
So this, of course, is the latest we are tracking for you. It's a big anti-terror push by the government, which, of course, is being carried out by the army on the LOC. We are seeing 14 terrorists who've been neutralized in the last 96 hours alone. Several infiltration bids by Pakistan and their proxies, which have been neutralized and successfully foiled by our Indian Army. Is it the backing of the government which is helping and aiding the army to carry out this firm resolve across the border? Well, that, of course, is the big question. Let's open this up now. R.P. Singh, National Secretary of the BJP, joining us live from Delhi. Also with us is Major General R.K. Malhotra, Defence Analyst. He also joins us live from Delhi. We'll also be joined shortly by Suneet Chopra, leader of the CPI. But if I can begin with you first, Major General Malhotra, it's a strong anti-terror push that is being carried out by the army, and it's been ably assisted by the government, sir, who's given the army a free hand.
Undoubtedly, because you see the difference between giving the army a free hand, stroke restraining them and creating all kinds of handicaps for them, raising issues of what happened when the elections were taking place, small issues. And I was surprised that are we fighting Pakistan and terrorists, or are we wanting to respond only to the guys who are creating anti-military or anti-security forces voices? It's a very shameful thing that every time that you seem to be succeeding, there is an internal boil, as if there are a large number of Pakistani agents over here who are wanting to neutralize whatever successes we are getting. If you recollect right from the beginning, the army chief had said that we're going to have a terrible summer. It's going to be a bloody summer. So obviously you see the plan in action, and you see so many infiltration bids. In the last 48 hours, you've had 7 infiltration bids across the line of control, right from the north, from the Gurez Sector, right down to Punch. And it is obvious that Pakistan is trying to push as many terrorists as possible. And one must also realize that this is a sensitive moment. Not only is it a tourist season, is also the place where you have the Yatra, Amarnath Yatra going to place, and therefore the vulnerability in this area increases because there are large pilgrimages which take place. Similarly, there are other shrines in Kashmir where people visit, and once they go to the Amarnath, they visit other places. So that's the reason why all these induction is taking place. And fortunately, the government has given a free hand to the military to act, and you've seen the results. I'm sure
The results are clearly
it won't
being
take very
seen
long that we
on
will
ground,
get the
says Major
situation
General
under control.
Malhotra. Is this the perspective of the
I
government
hope
as well,
you're happy
RP
to.
Singh, that a free hand must be given to the army? We saw in the Major Gogoi episode as well, the government firmly supported the army chief in his clean sheet of Major Gogoi. Are these all factors that are aiding and abetting the army's successful prowess across the LOC? Okay, I don't think we have RP Singh there just yet, but Major General Malhotra, if I can come back to you at this point, the fact is that, you know, the Indian government has spoken in no uncertain words that terror and talks cannot go together. It's a strong policy vis-a-vis Pakistan that has been outlined now by the government, and it is being followed through. Also, with regards to their proxies, be it the separatists, there is a strong stand that has not dithered or changed despite various political quarters urging a change in that stance. Are these all factors as well, you know, that boost the army's resolve, Major General Malhotra? Not directly impacting their operations day to day, but boost the morale and the resolve per se.
Let's break this down slightly. First thing is, we've recognized that Pakistan is a major player in the turmoil which is happening in Kashmir. And the so-called narrative about the indigenous uprising of these people, guys who, the youths of Kashmir wanting to go against the government, is all bunkum. The fact is that Pakistan, that's the first recognition. So once you make that recognition, you tell Pakistan that anything which happens in the border will be responded not equally but in much greater force. And the results are that Pakistan military has now realized that it is not the right thing for them to look at a one-to-one contest of the border or use firefighting and keep the border alive. So obviously they've now taken the second step, which has always been their strategy of asymmetric warfare. That means pushing in the so-called strategic assets of these terrorists into India and leaving them to create turmoil so that the Indian government and the J&K state government is involved in a daily affair of some terrorist attack. And therefore there is a major push of these guys trying to get across. So obviously the second stage for the army is to make sure that the anti-infiltration grid is strong, and to make sure that every attempt is made is either foiled, deterred, or made sure that it doesn't succeed. So that's happening. It might not necessarily mean that every time that there is a contest or a firefight between the terrorists who want to get across, getting neutralized, but definitely they'll be deterred, and you won't find very many people trying to get in, and that deterrence will ensure that one odd guy gets killed but the others run away. They leave their baggage behind, they leave their arms and ammunition behind. And the net result, and the third thing is that internally the turmoil that these terrorists who are already there,
yes,
a number getting to 235 from a figure of 80 over the past period because of what the separatists have been doing. They are the guys who now feel the pinch, and they realize that the way that they were having a free hand and doing what they want, using poor children, and those rhetoric of guys whose own children are abroad, but they are the guys who are encouraging, fueling, financing these people, these little children, and moving them away from their books to stone. They are the guys who are now realizing it's not going to be easy.
Indeed.
And for this, obviously, the responsibilities have been divided, and at least
no, that's a valid point that you're making, Major General Malhotra.
You've got a
Please
free
do
hand
stay
on the
with
border.
us. Let's also
And
get in
I'm
Sunit
sure the
Chopra
other
of the
security
CPI
agencies
onto the broadcast, who is joining us on the phone line. Sunit Chopra, there has been a free hand given to the Indian Army by the government, but unfortunately we have not seen unity across political parties, specifically from the opposition spectrum and also from the left, which includes your party, sir, who have backed the government in its outlook towards the army, Mr. Chopra. Okay, we don't seem to have the line with Sunit Chopra, but Major General Malhotra, you know, on one hand, of course, as you're saying, the government's firm backing has assisted the army's efforts, and the policies are precise. At least they're well defined now, vis-a-vis Pakistan and vis-a-vis their proxies in Jammu and Kashmir specifically. But do reactions which come in from other political quarters lower the morale of the army? When you have question marks raised on the army chief's seriousness, when you have question marks raised on the character of the Indian army, when you have question marks raised on surgical strikes and their validity coming from our own political parties who are expected to be responsible. Major General Malhotra.
You see, one must realize that this story of pro-Pakistan sentiment started much earlier. And you saw, if you see the history globally, you will realize that the first step to escalating dissent in a society, to cause revolution, starts from the students. And that is what you saw in India. You saw the JNU, you saw university in Bengal, you saw that uproar getting created and all kinds of slogans getting done. And you created a means and ends dilemma for the government, that if they are strong, then obviously those means appear to be very strong, while as the ends are to bring the society to order and ensure law and order. But you created that, and after that, soon after that, you saw the turmoil and boil taking place. In fact, there is a recent statement which talks about the fact that whatever is happening in J&K should happen in Tamil Nadu because of the language that they're trying to enforce. So here you see the political parties,
indeed,
for the sake of opposing the government, creating anti-national, non-patriotic kind of sentiments in this country and dissension. It's very, very unfortunate. I'm sure that all political leaders across the spectrum realize that nationalism and patriotism is much beyond the small means. But you see, unfortunately, that's not happening.
Indeed.
You see questions being raised about the fact that you ever carried a surgical strike.
Nationalism
and when I
patriotism.
heard those kind of things, I realized it looked as if they were playing for the Pakistani media and not for the Indian media.
Nationalism and patriotism are not things to be politicized, is a very valid sentiment that you're espousing this afternoon, and we leave it at that. Major General Malhotra, thanks indeed for joining us with your perspective on this story.